Did you get the millage?
Paid for it, I haven't got it yet. I don't have a tractor, I don't load it, so I can't go get it.
Oh, no.
I sold my tractor
I know, that's.
day before the first go.
Oh.
Wasn't my timing.
It's like selling your deer rifle at the end of October.
Yep. Favorite hunting season. Thank you. Kind of a pain in the butt, but I don't mind that.
And I don't know if I was supposed to put a motion on that.
That looked good to me. The rest of these, I think, are all good.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything clunky, was there?
So, would one of you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve November 15th, November 27th, December 6th minutes with the addition to the November 27th minutes.
Second.
In favor? 3. Item 3, review of the treasurer's warrants. Payroll, 198, 202, 204, and 206. Accounts payable, 199, 200, 201, 203, 205, 207.
Okay, so that's all of this.
Is that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Make motion to approve all.
Second?
In favor? 3. Open session. Would you like to speak, Mr. Burgess?
I would.
Floor is yours.
I would like the board to consider plowing from Mr. Lampine's to my driveway. It's all frozen down. I'd like the board to consider that, please. It has been once before, and I was told that the town news contract wasn't to that point, and that they'd have to bring up the 5,500. And that's kind of where they left it. It didn't get done. It was a previous board. I don't, Dale, you must have been there at the time.
I remember it was part of a conversation, but honestly, Lance, I don't remember the detail. I know we
Well,
talked.
there's never any vote.
Nope.
I do remember that. But I'm making a request.
I think it's, my understanding would be if we were to entertain such a request, we would have to be dealing with a contractor to do this. We don't have any public works that's doing any plowing.
Oh, I thought I saw
They're just doing.
5,500.
He's just doing parking lots.
Oh, okay, okay.
And the 5,500 is actually the primary truck at the moment. The dump truck is still broke down, so that's, if you're seeing the 55, that's because that's their vehicle they're out with.
Okay, okay. So we'd have to have an amendment with,
We would have to negotiate with a contractor in order to add that. Would you say that's approximately a half a mile?
no, 1,600 feet.
And you know exactly what it is.
Quarter of a mile.
That's what
Yep.
that's what we've been talking right along, 1,600 feet. Okay.
Okay.
Would the board entertain that, or?
I think we'd have to speak to the contractor. Does that seem like a reasonable
Well, yeah,
start to the
starting
process?
point.
Yeah.
Would it be agreeable to do that, or?
What, to
I'm
speak to
trying-
the contractor?
Well,
or-
to plow it. Would you be comfortable with plowing?
Is there any difference between plowing and grading?
Not
That's my
much.
question.
I
I
don't,
mean, we didn't grade.
no, we didn't grade this year. We ditched last year.
Correct.
We graded the year before.
And when was the last time, what has been the plowing history?
Sporadically. They plow in when it's comfortable to turn around. It's easy to turn around at the end of my driveway. And at least 4 of the past public works people have plowed in. You know, where they turn around now is difficult. The only way they do is I do it all winter. I go up with my bulldozer and shove the snow back so they can turn around.
I mean, the obvious, the elephant in the room is the status of this road and all of the concern around that. We are bringing that question, our hope is to bring that question to the town at town meeting. So that I guess in theory, the status of this road will be answered one way or another, although even that easily could be
So
argued
it could be
afterwards.
clustered.
Yeah, there's no, but there is a history of some work going back and forth up there over the last 10 years. My instinct is, personally, if the contractor could do it without a great deal of expense, or I wouldn't object to it on the grounds that it muddies necessarily the status of that road. I think that,
I don't think that road's gonna get any muddier than it is there at the moment.
correct.
Whether or not we graded it, whether or not we plowed it, it's not gonna change anything when we go to town meeting.
Well, Chris comes in on occasion anyway.
Correct. And-
Comes in where? What do you
Comes
mean?
into the end of my driveway.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, they do, I guess out of the goodness of their heart. You know, they see me pushing banks back out where they normally turn around, they plow in. You know, so,
but Chris has that always been his contract?
yeah.
It has, that's been, always been,
Well,
oh,
that's
because
his
that's
route.
out of town.
That's his-
That's,
his,
okay, yeah,
yes,
okay,
that's his
that's not
route.
in town.
No.
That's never been, well,
Okay.
at least in the recent years, it
Okay.
hasn't been an issue for in town. It's
Okay.
always been a part of this contract.
Okay.
Well, like
Since
recently.
2012.
Yeah, okay.
Do you have a plow truck?
I have a yard truck.
A yard truck?
You know what a yard truck is? That means it shouldn't be out on the road.
Oh, I have one of those.
Now you know what a yard truck is.
I have one of those. I do.
Okay.
Does it have a plow on it?
It does.
So for you to come out of your driveway and plow down to Lentini's is, you have to plow your driveway,
It's
correct?
a public way. Now, if you give me permission to plow the driveway, then the driveway and the town way, then
You also have a bulldozer, right?
I have a bulldozer, but it may not always be there. If my shoulder feels good enough, I may go cut some wood. So I do have a bulldozer. You ever plowed snow with a bulldozer?
I've never used a bulldozer,
Oh,
not that I
it's
wouldn't jump at the
impossible.
opportunity,
Yeah.
but
Jody knows what it's like.
You can't do it.
Back and forth, back and
why
forth.
do you know all this stuff?
Because I've tried.
Have you ever hit anything with a bulldozer?
Not yet.
I have. My yard truck. Back right into it.
See?
Back right into it.
I just backed
That's
into
why
a
it's a yard
building
truck.
yesterday. So my question is if we were to grant you permission to plow down your driveway and down to Lentini's, would you do that?
I would with permission.
Well, I was gonna
Okay,
say,
there we
regardless,
go.
I think at least case scenario, we have to grant him permission
Yes,
to
yes.
plow
So I think that's,
from
Well,
the teenies
and
to his driveway.
that is significant, and here's why I think it may be. If it's not a town way,
You don't
if
have
you don't have to grant
Grant
permission.
permission.
So you haven't muddied the waters any less.
right, by
I
granting
think,
permission.
in all fairness,
Right.
we should at least check with the contractor and see what impact, if any, that would have.
Well, you've already granted me
And-
permission.
And at the same time,
Grade
grant
it
you
the same.
permission.
Right.
I agree.
Exactly.
Back to your comment, it can't get muddy.
Right, right,
You can't.
right.
So
The only question at the end of the day, it is not gonna be a matter of muddying it. What I do want to happen is in the spring, is I want this to move forward in the most positive way that it can happen. And I think with cooperation to get us to where we're at, we have yet, I think spending more money this late in the game and trying to get this right in the spring is not gonna go over well. I would just as soon do what we gotta do to get us to spring, and then hopefully we can get this done properly and not have any of these conversations again.
That would be nice.
Right.
That's the
But
goal.
let me tell you, my feeling, I'm tired of being bullied by certain people in town. And the board has been bullied. I've been bullied. It's cost the town a lot of money. Okay, but we shouldn't run in fear because of the bullying. Okay, that's my personal opinion. I'm tired of it. People, you try to do your job, Lois tried to do this. Okay. You know, it's,
Would we want to grant permission for him to plow his road tonight? And at the same time, Lois could speak to, because
Yeah.
I'm sure there are storms where Chris might say, I just as soon drive over there and turn around. Now, he might not, I could be wrong, but
I would make a motion to grant Lance permission to plow the public way from Teeny's driveway to his driveway, and for Lois to see what it would cost to get that plowed through our contractor.
Is that satisfactory?
Yeah, I don't wanna go out on the public way. You be assured, Joe, people are watching. Okay, you can be assured people are watching. Okay, so I at least want permission to, the road is frozen, it's, all I'd have to do is the turnaround that we made when we ditched the road, where we had the culverts, remember?
Yeah.
I just gotta take the dozer and open that up. Okay? So, it's ready to be plowed.
Okay, so I'll make a motion.
Dale made a motion.
Oh,
We need
oh,
a second.
oh, I'm sorry.
Did you sleep in? Yeah, you did.
I heard.
I'll
You
second.
want me to repeat it?
No, 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 no.
You know
Yes,
your second?
I do want you to repeat it.
Okay, I made a motion that we grant Lance Burgess to plow the public way from Lantini's driveway to the newly created next year turnaround up by his driveway. And for the town manager to inquire what it would cost to add that 1,600 feet onto the plowing with our contractor.
Okay, I'll second that.
In favor? Passes?
I appreciate that very much.
Okay.
And I'm gonna stick around for item 8B.
8B.
Okay, selectmen concerns. Anybody have anything they wanna throw on the pile?
Not throwing it on the pile, knock on wood, hopefully I'm not jinxing us. With all these storms, not one complaint yet.
I'm getting them all.
You are? Really?
Oh, are you kidding?
Haven't had one.
That's a good thing.
I usually get,
We,
Oh.
yeah,
Oh,
well,
your
we
daughter
usually all get
complained.
spam.
oh, my daughter, she's from Florida, she's a flatland.
That's what I said to her. I said, you just got used to Florida. No, I've
one
had
thing,
several.
I don't have a.
But not really super bad. I mean, I've had a couple on Monday, a couple yesterday, and people want to be heard. And they
Sure.
want to know that you're listening, and they want to know you're acting.
Sure.
And so I just said, I'll go out and check, and, you know, and I had a suggestion on a hot load, and I know what a hot load is, and talked to Chris today, and he had already done a hot load, so.
Yeah, I noticed this was cleaned up. The only thing is, I mean, not trying to, anything for those guys, this thing out here is a bugger.
Oh, it is.
It is
Yeah.
the
It
same
is.
deal when we had complaint steady and had to do hot loads because there was just so much traffic on that road. And
And
it packs fast.
well, and I had 2 or 3 complaints on that little section there, and, you know, I understand, you know, that's a problem, and, you know, we're not the only town that has it, cause I live in Dover,
Sure.
and it's all the way through Route 15
Yeah.
in Dover.
Go to Dexter.
You know, so it's not just us, it was just the storm that came through.
I see, that first storm was kinda crusty and messy.
Yeah.
I mean, not as bad as that one last year, but
Well, I
Same
know
type
we
of
come
thing.
through and in 23 was just absolutely,
Yeah.
that was treacherous. Silver's Mills wasn't bad, it was probably 1.5 2 inches of snow on there, but still that was fine. And I went, and looked at a house with my daughter out onto the Dover Road, so I had to go through Dexter's plowing, another version of the state that was, Dexter hadn't touched. And we left there at around 4 we come back across and Dexter still hadn't plowed.
Oh
It was
my.
6, 7 inches of road in
Whoa.
the other end of Silver's Mills. They plowed about 8 o'clock that night, so.
I will say that, the post-storm cleanup on Thomas Road is unbelievable. It's pushed way back,
Yes.
ready to rock and roll for the next storm. I mean, I came
Yeah.
out tonight, and he must have done it today, and it's fantastic.
so it's a difference from what you're used to seeing.
Huge.
Good,
McFeeters is a lot different than last year too.
Huge,
yep,
huge.
making room.
Yep, and making room when you're coming in and out to clean up, instead of cleaning up, come and make room the night before a big snowstorm, you know,
Right.
doing more, making more trips when you can do it all at the same time, so.
May I share something with you? When I was involved in the town doing all of the plowing, and I can tell you, when Chris and Warren took over, you know, I was a little apprehensive, let's say, when they took over. What a difference. Positive difference. Yeah.
Yep.
How many years, when did they first start, do you remember?
No, I don't.
I remember, because I lived on Silver's Mills, I dealt with 2 years, it was another contractor before that did Silver's Mills. and my wife would go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and 8 o'clock in the morning, Silver's Mill still would be plowed. And now, I mean, since then, I don't care what time you have to go to work, it's plowed.
Yeah, of course, I haven't lived on the other side of town. Chris does a phenomenal job, really. There've been people complaining sand's too much, but you want people to be safe,
Sure,
Yeah.
yep,
no question.
yep. That's good.
So I guess we're still on selectmen concerns. And I've got an item, and I'm not sure I should roll it in here, maybe I could take it over to the committee reports, but, this has to do with, the Abbey Fowler project and the committee, and I've had some correspondence back and forth with Mr. Howard. Essentially, I forwarded to him, the conditions, if you will, that the committee had kind of worked on, and we got back from him a response to that. And I don't know if you guys have seen.
Yeah, I've read them.
The items in yellow are, you know, his responses, and some of them are, you know, it's pretty clear cut, like, no, I don't agree with that, I wouldn't do that. Most of them, though, I think probably could be negotiated, it's just my gut, obviously, nobody has talked about them. But I've had a really difficult time, getting him on the phone, I haven't been able to actually speak to him. So there's been no discussion, what you see is all I know. I did send him one final, message, just to let him know that, when he's ready, when he has some time, if he wants to talk to me on the phone, or have a visit with the board, we'd love to talk to him. But the ball is, and I literally said the ball's in your court,
Right,
so.
right.
So with that in mind, I think probably we ought to maybe consider tasking the committee with kind of a parallel course here. Because there's no reason we couldn't get commercial real estate people involved, get kind of an assessed value of that property. Because it's not really their fault, we kind of put all of our apples in this silo. But I think we should have like I said, maybe a parallel thing going. And it'll be kind of interesting, because I think if you feel like you're giving a property away, you probably feel like, and not that they were in this case, because, I mean, the idea is we're essentially giving it away, but with a huge requirement of capital improvement if this deal ever came together. But if you're basically just gonna list your property, let's say you list it for $70,000 or whatever that would be, I don't know what it'd be. I don't think you're gonna be able to get away with nearly as many restrictions.
No,
But you need to remember, those restrictions, that committee is gonna want those restrictions, whether you're selling it or you're not.
Well, they may want them,
I understand that,
but
I'm just, that's.
I think when the reality of trying to retail a property,
Sure.
right.
it may be a little bit of a wake-up call, I guess.
Right.
You know, if we're going to sell it, we may not have as much say, and maybe not, maybe a real estate agent would look at these demands and say, totally reasonable. I doubt it, but we'll see.
I would suggest that maybe Lois try to get a hold of Mr. Howard and get a meeting set up.
I would totally
Very soon.
support that idea.
Let's not keep stretching this and have a brief meeting with us. We
And
understand his
incidentally, I
concerns.
sent all my correspondence to Lois, so she has a record, I have reached out to him repeatedly.
But
So-
if he's not willing to meet and not willing to sit down and discuss and get this, he needs to understand, we want this town meeting.
right.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
and I don't wanna say he's not willing to, that's
Right,
not, I
he's
don't
just-
want.
No, I understand
It's
that,
not
but
his
I just.
priority at this point.
Right, he's just busy, I'm sure.
Just been
Yeah,
going
correct.
on and on and
Right.
on, and he's saying, what's the rush now?
Right, and initially, I think, when I got the feeling from the back and forth I had with him, when he first saw these conditions, he was kinda disheartened, like, oh, you know, what are they thinking? I'm not gonna, no, this is just a starting point, it's kind of a wish list.
Right.
And so that's when he took the time to respond, and I appreciate that he did.
I mean, I'm pretty open to honestly, a lot of his comments, I can see where we could have a conversation. There's a couple of them there that
Maybe not.
maybe not.
Right.
So,
So there's one there with regard to transferring it to a nonprofit. Let's say now maybe he just highlighted that because I got kind of a sense that he looks at this property and says,
number one, that's not gonna work either.
why should this property be different than any other property in Sangerville? And that's not a crazy way to look at it.
Right.
So he may have highlighted some of these things saying, well, there's an
Yeah,
example of.
right.
But if essentially you're going to give him the property in exchange for a commitment of capital improvement, you would be doing this for the taxes.
Correct.
So if he had a plan that was predicated on a non-taxable property, our interest would wane a little, I'm guessing.
Right,
Yeah. And
right.
it's the same way about not subdividing it.
Right,
That's the purpose, is to keep it together, to grow a
Right.
tax base.
Right,
Not to subdivide it into trailer parks or whatever.
correct. So we'll see, and maybe when we talk to him, he might say, oh, no, that's not that big a deal, but we don't know.
right.
But I do think that it makes sense to start that committee on
Thinking on-
now, we can do this ourselves. We can have Lois reach out to a commercial real estate person, come over and look at it, maybe that's the way to go. We already have their wish list.
I would do that.
Yeah, maybe.
Just
we
take
should-
the bull by the horns
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
alright?
And honestly, that way there, we could, especially, that's why I said, if we can meet with Mr. Howard soon,
Yep,
then we're gonna have either a warm and fuzzy feeling what direction we're going in.
yep,
And then, so if we do need to go to an appraisal option, we can get that going, and then at the same time, we can show an appraiser this wish list and get a better
And
idea.
sure.
See.
It might be
Yeah, no,
even
this is
easy.
not gonna work, or maybe it will, or.
A committee can be clunky. I
Right.
mean, you get all these people, so let the appraiser deal with Lois and the board, look at the wish list.
Right.
Create some feedback, and then we can go back to the committee and say, guess what, if you wanna sell it, this is kind of the lay of the
These are
land.
Right, what's
Yeah.
realistic, what's not.
Alright, so is that a,
Yeah, I think
Yep.
that's good.
I can check with Chris Winstead too, cause
Sure.
remember, he said he could get us
Sure.
some contacts.
he'd be a great
Now, at the
resource.
same token, we need to get a couple of numbers on what it would cost for disposal.
Well, he included one on his,
Yes.
Yeah, he did throw a number in for,
Yeah.
so, and you were gonna speak to the,
yep, yep,
yep,
Haley's.
It's a pretty good number. I was kinda surprised, I would've thought it'd been a little more.
Oh, really?
yeah, no, I think it was pretty
I
competitive
think
bid.
that's a pretty good price.
Yeah,
I didn't think you'd get that, I didn't think you'd get all that concrete in that building cleaned up and removed for that.
He was what, 200 and,
235 to 285,
Yeah.
depending on tipping fees.
Tipping fees, what is that?
As these
Disposal?
Disposal,
oh.
yeah.
Oh,
Like when you take
Containers.
your
The concrete.
containers, yeah.
oh,
Concrete's got to be
Yep.
disposed of in a secure landfill.
Now, if the bricks are cleaned on site, then I think the bricks wouldn't be considered hazardous. Then the mortar would be still considered hazardous. So the mortar could go with the concrete.
but you're easily looking at $250,000.
right, right.
Yeah, cause I know, all that every bit of concrete you see, concrete is hazardous waste.
Yep. So, I mean, that's fine, and that's not a real surprise, we should get another number just to hang
Right.
it out there. Just speaking as one board member, I can't imagine I'd ever support putting that avenue
No.
out there, so.
No, but that's a
Spending that
realistic
money.
number.
Relation-
Right,
When
it's,
people ask,
Sure.
gee, I thought we were gonna tear it down.
Yeah,
Well, that's
can.
$250,000.
that's right.
We're not anxious to do that, we're gonna vet every possible avenue before we look at that,
Right.
so.
you can sell a lot of property for $1.
Sure can.
$285,000.
And you can even do a non-profit.
That's right.
That's, yeah,
All of a
that
sudden
point
you-
is.
That's true too.
Yeah, so, okay, that was all I had
Yeah.
on that.
That's very good.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
There was a time that they were talking about removing down through the concrete, cover the concrete. Is that an option? That's gonna be a very expensive portion of the demolition, is taking that concrete and hauling it to Norwich Walk.
Mhm.
Okay, so, at one point, you're talking about putting soil over the top of the concrete.
So honestly, we haven't given a serious look at,
The committee asked about removal, so that's where we got that number, was to remove the building.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't think I would support
Covering the.
covering it,
Just.
because
then
what do you
it's-
do with it afterwards? It's,
you still got a piece of property you can't sell.
Oh,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's green space then.
yeah.
Yeah, which is
Just like
essentially a
down
liability.
Brown's Mill.
We get a lot of green space.
You know, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Which brings us to the rec committee report.
All right, so I attended their rec committee meeting that they had last week, and they are getting together the Stephen Tabitha King grant. Should be ready this week, I would imagine. But they're asking if they can do the Maine Community Foundation grant. It's called the Piscataquis Fund, and they would like to ask for $5,000, and it's not for construction of any kind. It's for like the porta potties that will help pay the fees that we would incur to rent porta potties to have down there. So that's what that grant is for. And they're thinking 5,000 should cover approximately 3 years of porta potty rentals. And then the second one is Bangor Savings Bank Community Matters More. And this particular grant, they don't have to submit anything, but it's like, you know, Coach Ayala at Foxcroft, and people call
in and
that's what that grant is, and so they'd like to apply for that one as well. And they're thinking some handicap or poop scoop signs, you know, might be coming out of one of these grants. We also addressed their remaining budget was just over $2,000 is what they had left out of their operating fund that they haven't spent. They would like to have that. They'd like to keep the 8725. They still feel that they can mow both sides for $1,600. But this 2,100, they'd like to have that carried in addition to the 8725 because they had planned on doing upgrade to the basketball courts, the lights. There's the box that it's in, and put some new lights up, and then they have to have it repainted. And if you repaint now while the lines are still visible, it's significantly cheaper than if you wait until the lines are completely gone. And so they'd like to have those funds reappropriated at town meeting for those two upgrades, but keep the 8725 that they had in their budget for their operating. So those are the questions. Can they apply for the two grants, and can they reappropriate those funds for next year and keep their same budget?
I'm not opposed to, in my own opinion, applying for any grant that doesn't get us locked into anything with any contingencies that the town has to do this, or
Liabilities of any
responsible.
kind.
Yep, as long as we're free and clear, they can get a grant.
You have to approve it though, because that's.
No,
what-
that's fine, I'm just saying,
Right.
that's,
So, do
if
we-
you're reading
Right.
it and it fits that criteria, then I'm more than willing to approve it.
And you're vetting the grants
That's
that
the-
they're
I
that's the
haven't
point
seen
I'm
these
gleaning from that.
Yeah.
particularly, this particular information on any of these. Those are just the names that they had thrown out there.
Oh,
that
so
they'd like to
who
apply
is
for.
going to vet them? Is that you?
I can let them know to send me the information on the grant.
Sure.
Yep,
Okay.
and that would, yeah, it's just kind of going forward. If you can say to us, I've looked at this and there are no liabilities on the town's part, we can move these pretty quick.
Right.
Because actually, I would make a motion to approve if, after you.
Upon.
or.
Right,
That there's no liabilities and contingencies for the town for a future.
and I second that.
Are you actually making that motion?
Yep.
Okay.
All in favor? Does that work for you with those conditions?
Yep.
Okay. So in other words, if you find that there is some contingency, then they wouldn't be able to apply for it.
Right, that doesn't sort of go along with what we.
Oh, are you
Yeah.
saying all grants? Or are you saying these
Yeah.
two grants?
Yeah.
I'm up for, that's my opinion for anything, I mean,
I would concur.
Okay.
so I mean, you could just, if
For
you don't need
2000,
it,
let's say for 2018.
sure.
Right.
Let's make it a yearly
Then
thing.
you could just let us know that you've done your research,
Yep.
this grant's good, and they're applying for it.
This is a clean opportunity.
Right,
Okay. And that's what we have. What about the reappropriate the funds?
That's a budgetary item, so the way we, in the past, how this has always worked, when we get into budgetary season, every department head proposes a budget to you, that moves forward through the budget committee, and it will be, they have first whack.
Very much like the librarian's request last meeting. Her request is on the record.
Yeah.
That's what will be presented to the budget committee. They'll
Yep.
make their sausage and then
we'll
we'll do
decide
ours.
whether.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, during the committee's process, usually the librarian or the rec committee will go to a meeting, or the meeting that they're gonna be on that item,
Okay.
and then they start it, and
I wasn't gonna ask any of my department heads to attend. I was gonna have them address me, and then that just saves them
That's your
time.
call.
That is your call, yeah.
And that
Now,
way-
if,
I'm just letting you know how it's been
Yep.
done, not saying that's what we have to do.
if the rec committee felt like they wanted to take the lead,
Yeah,
I would
absolutely.
encourage you to give them that attitude,
Yep.
but again, it's your call. Okay, anything else as far as committees?
Nope.
All right,
Just,
No, but can we, well,
go ahead.
did they finish the work that they were?
Yes, I actually got an email. I couldn't get he didn't attach the pictures
Oh.
to the email. He put it in the email. And when I went to print, I mean, you're only getting this much of the
Oh.
picture, and it's like, so the seats are done. And they look
see
pretty
him
good.
right from there already.
Yeah, you can see them.
You can?
Yeah, you lost some floor space.
Yeah. And you peek through, you can see him.
Yeah.
It seems to be square, at least as near as I can tell from the road,
Good,
so that's good.
okay. So that's completed.
Yes.
Okay.
It is now complete.
New business, the lime spreader.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is the different one.
We had more than one?
We did, and I did not know that. And so there's been a request from a resident that he's interested in this green one, and it hasn't been used for like 20 years. Is it Brian Wharf?
Yep, let's do it up here.
Bought it when he was town manager.
Public Works.
Public Works.
Oh, whatever,
Yeah.
Public Works. And
Is
there
it-
is a
Are you familiar with
tree
it?
or a shrub growing up the middle of it.
Oh, wow.
But I do have a resident that's interested in that particular green one. So obviously it's not being used.
Is it lime or is it, I mean, salt?
I was informed by this particular resident that they're not called manure spreaders, they're called lime spreaders.
That's a lime. Okay, so it's different. That's like a drop spouter.
Hmm.
Okay. Which now we're actually using the sander. So we don't need that. That's why this.
Is this a
tree
toe
grows.
behind type of thing? I mean, yes, toe, it's not it's a toe behind.
Yeah.
Doesn't run off a PTO.
I believe.
The
it's
axle
ground driven.
turns all of
I
them.
think it's ground driven.
Oh, okay.
I would think that we would do exactly the same process.
Sure.
Put it on
Right.
Craigslist and.
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with that idea.
That we didn't even
I mean,
get
I-
a criticism by that.
No, that
Process.
worked, that was,
I don't believe the value is above what we're allowed to get rid of.
I don't know if I can get a picture of it at this point.
Maybe we could cut the tree out of it before we take a picture of it. Just saying.
I think that's the safest way to approach these
Yeah.
abandoned pieces of equipment.
yeah, and it's a good way to get rid of it all too.
Yeah,
It's great, it's
it's
great.
hoarding.
Is it green because it's a John Deere?
I just don't wanna see the
green?
rec committee petition us for a lime spreader next
Yeah,
fall. If we might.
when we have one, maybe we should go check it out.
Okay. I honestly don't even know where it is. I was trying to, is it leaning,
I don't know where it is.
there's something leaning up against the
Oh, you
building
heard
out
the
back.
conversation today.
Well, I thought but he said it was somewhere, but I didn't, honestly, I was listening to what.
I forgot to say one thing for the, just came to my mind. Blaine told me that he picked up several signs, very expensive signs that are spring-loaded and fold up, that belong to the town, that have been on the side of the road somewhere where they were doing construction. No?
No, yeah, I believe him.
Yeah.
It's
And
unfortunate.
he picked them up and delivered them back to Public Works before they got plowed under by his nephew.
Thank you, Blaine.
On Silver's Mills or French's Mills?
Yeah.
There's some on Silver's Mills, actually.
Yep. Yep.
They're the road work signs?
Yeah, he said they're expensive, spring-loaded signs. I forgot, I just came to my mind again. And so he put them over at Public Works, he put them somewhere safe, but I guess it was locked up, so he put them in where the tank, where there's, in
Yeah,
that.
fuel
Little
tank.
fuel
Yeah.
tank area, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, leaving the lime spreader, the town report.
What would I've been informed you get to make the decision on the front cover, the dedication, and you need to write up a selectmen's report for the town report.
On the manure spreader, do we make an actual motion to
Oh, yeah.
do that?
To list it on Craigslist?
Yeah.
I think didn't we do it last time?
But we just didn't do it, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yep, go
yeah.
ahead.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we put the lime/manure spreader, the green one, on Craigslist
Second.
All in favor? Good, thank you.
and
Three.
dispose of it.
The front cover and the dedication, I wasn't involved in last year's, did we pick it? I don't remember picking those. Matthew kinda did all that. So I mean, if you have some ideas, we would be,
Right.
we meet twice a month,
Yes.
so it's really gonna be more, we're looking for your guidance on a good looking town report.
All right.
With regard, obviously, the selectmen's report, we should work on
Right.
a letter and, cause we're all gonna sign it.
Right.
Right.
So, I know that's a novel idea, so.
I get to read it this year. Thank you.
Do you, does that seem like a good process?
Sure.
Okay. As far as dedication, where could we go for some ideas for dedication, or, I mean,
I would, each one of us kinda go on your own and think of
Think that.
yeah.
how you would like to dedicate it.
So the four of
Is
us
it-
could maybe talk to citizens for ideas, suggestions, and
I would, yeah.
maybe we could even put maybe a little posting on the website. We're looking for ideas for dedication.
Actually, you could put a thing on the website for people to suggest who to
That's
dedicate it.
what,
Mm,
yep,
That's what he was saying.
Names for it. yeah.
yep. Okay.
And the front cover has a picture on it, correct? A photograph?
Yes.
Yeah, last year was foliage of some sort.
Right.
Yep. It looked nice.
Right.
We did a pretty nice one last year because of our new printer.
Printer.
We did it all in-house.
I don't think so.
No, we didn't.
No?
We got the printer afterwards.
Oh, that's why we bought it,
That's
because
right.
going forward, we do it all
We
in-house.
do it all in-house.
No, that's not gonna happen.
We have all the binding stuff and everything. You know,
It
seriously,
doesn't need to be glossy color, all that. That's,
It
they,
can be stapled.
Yes.
a previous town manager come up with the idea that we could do these themselves. So they have everything in there to do the bindings and everything to make our own books. And then last year, that was the big pitch for this new printer, was
Busy time of year, Dale.
I
Huge
understand.
busy time.
yeah, no, I don't think we wanna I don't think it needs to be fancy, I don't think it needs to be a color
Doesn't need to be
photograph.
color, as far as
We
I'm
don't need to
concerned.
spend $4 a copy, I don't think that's necessary.
I
So,
don't, you look at those books, it's almost like the printer's doing it by the page, cause there's a lot of wasted space and a lot of, I don't think it needs to be what it's
that
supposed to
machine should be able to accommodate us, I would think. Now, if you look at it and say, gee, I can send it to Kinko's for half, then that's what we should do.
Yeah.
But we spent a lot of money on those books last year, I remember that now.
be. They are
It
expensive.
was what, 800, I think?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And how many copies did we get?
Yeah.
300.
Out of the 300, where is the 95% of them right now?
Probably
Yeah,
the trash.
Right here.
So, I would just as soon not take,
Take all of mine.
Minimalist
For
on
years.
these.
You have them? You're a hoarder.
No. Every once in a while, they come in handy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do.
They
Mine
No,
last
I
years.
reference mine and I'll say,
mine is
wow, we voted
underneath,
on
it's
that?
on my coffee table underneath.
Yeah.
Oh, no, right in order. I
Wow.
stack them about like this, right in order.
No, we should have one, but I just don't think it needs to be
I don't think it needs to be.
Sports Illustrated.
No.
Right.
I mean, they need to be decent, but they don't need to be.
Okay. Old business, wanna jump to B?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Gray Road appraiser.
So I got the list from the MDOT for the list of appraisers. There were 2 in Bangor, and then Appleton was the next closest one, and then the rest of them are Lewiston, Portland, Scarborough, nothing north of Bangor. I contacted the 2 in Bangor, and one said absolutely they don't have time until like June of next year. So that one was out. The other one, she wanted $1,500 per parcel, which is a minimum of $6,000. And it would not be done until sometime in March. And that doesn't work because you're going through the process. We have to schedule our public meeting, which is just a select board meeting and then a public hearing. So we need time for that. The guy in Appleton was half that. He said $750 a parcel, but because of the distance and it's gonna take him 3 days, he charged an additional $500 for, staying here while he does those 3 days. And so I said, you got it. I mean, half price, you got it, we gotta do it and get
Right.
it done. So he's coming January 8th, and he will have us the report by January 26th. Knowing that we will have figures by January 26th, we can do step 2 with the letters, because the letters don't require figures, but it can give us, we can schedule the first select meeting in February for the first public meeting of discussion for Gray Road, and then set our public hearing. At that meeting, at the public meeting, at your board meeting, you have to issue your order of discontinuance by board vote, and then you have to file it with the clerk, and then we can move forward to the public hearing. And then we have a public hearing, and then we can get on warrant.
The public hearing, is that a standalone, or can that be part of a board meeting?
You could probably schedule it before a board meeting or after a
It
board
probably
meeting.
has a minimum posting, though, to be considered a
Correct,
hearing,
yes.
10 days or 30 or something. Do
Right,
we know what
right.
that is?
I do not, I haven't heard back from Becky Seal yet.
Because that's the key.
Yeah, that is the key. That public hearing, does it need to be 30 days prior to town meeting? Does it need to, I need to know what my time frame is. Does it need to be posted for 30
I say it's
days
the
or
posting
posted?
that, yeah,
Yeah, that's what
it needs to dovetail.
yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Do we have any of that available in this year's budget for that appraisal?
The 3,500?
Yep.
We have only spent 92% of our bottom line budget at this point, but don't forget you also have the incidental of 10,000. If you wanted to take
Because my only thought, and actually there's somebody in the room that could help with this thought as well, if I'm right or wrong, but January 1, town meeting, we are no budget.
Correct.
So scheduling said bills during that time frame on an unapproved budget,
Right,
if it's
Only
available.
what's essential.
Correct.
right.
So if you can get that taken care of this year and get it,
In other words, prepay this
well, it's,
commitment.
you can't get, you can't be here before the end of this year. But there's
Right.
no reason why he can't bill us.
Yeah, I've already got
We're trying to get this
it.
done this year.
You got the bill.
I've got the bill.
Oh, very
May I share
good.
something with you?
Yes.
Please.
I've always been of the contention that we are under the cash basis of accounting, having been an accountant in the past. But when Vernice comes, Vernice sometimes is cash, sometimes she carries expenses that you pay in January back to December, and I've always had a problem with that. Okay, so it's a mix of, you'll find out.
I know Bernice.
Okay, and you've seen it happen, okay? So I've always had a problem with that, but that's the way she does it, okay? So even though it may be something you spend in January, you know,
You committed to spend it in December.
yeah.
Well, that's kinda how I'm not trying to work, this is something we've talked about all summer long, getting this done.
Right.
I mean,
No, it's just time now.
it's all
Right.
It's
time,
time to
so,
make the commitment for this professional to do this. Turns out they're not gonna start until January, but I don't see why we can't pay them.
Yeah, he sent me the invoice. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll pay it.
Now, the question is there advantage? It sounds like there may be, but I'm really not clear on
I
it.
don't know if there is or there isn't, but I think it's the right thing to do. It was our plan to have this done this
Yes.
year.
Yeah,
We have the money, it is budgeted. My thought, I don't like getting into January with no budget, and you're almost forcing a hand. And I don't wanna have that, some people view it as forcing a hand, and I don't wanna get us into that situation if we don't need to be.
May I share with you that if you don't pay it now, there are gonna be people that shove your nose right in it later on.
Correct.
Okay, that's my personal feeling, okay? So, if I were making the decision, I'd pay it right now.
well, that's kinda what,
Yeah.
Was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? We bought new phones in February. And you would've swore to God, the world ended.
really, it was a big,
You bought phones with no budget.
Yeah. Yes.
That was not necessary to do that.
So do we have to make a motion to pay that bill, or is that not?
I
is it
think,
just-
Lois, this is part of the, I mean, you've hired this person, it's less than $10,000. It's within the scope of the task that we've asked you to perform. I don't think you need a
You'll
motion
just
to
get
do this.
you'll get a warrant at the next meeting.
Next
and-
meeting be on
Yep.
a warrant article to approve it.
Okay, very good.
If the fee for this was 15 grand, we would need to put
Right.
this out for bid or.
Right.
But fortunately, it's not.
Well, and I talked to 3 people. So.
Right, so
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
yeah, you've done due diligence.
Good.
As far as,
January,
Actually, I talked to a 4th person who's never done it for the town, for any town. He's never done this procedure. And in the roads manual, it talks about the statutory discontinuance having a formula. And when he called the state, he says the state told him there is no formula. So he wasn't willing to
Correct.
have
Wing
it be
it.
his first. And
right.
especially with our time frame, it's like,
I'm
okay.
very happy that he was not willing to be our first.
Right, yeah, we don't need,
If we
Yeah.
get through this one,
Yeah.
maybe we could help him out if he wanted to give us a good deal on the next one. But
yeah.
we would all have a
Exactly.
better idea of how
Exactly.
this process works.
Right.
I appreciate your efforts
Yeah,
very much.
We're rowing.
we are.
Yeah, yeah, I very much appreciate it. You know.
And we're on track for a town meeting too. Thus far.
Yeah, yeah, as long as we get by January 26th, we should be fine. Once I find out from Becky when we have to post public hearing. I mean,
You could
we
post-
have time, we just need to
I say,
know
I-
when to
You
post.
could post that tomorrow. It
You know,
was-
say, if, the worst is
Yeah,
gonna
I
be is
could
30
do that.
days.
And I would actually advertise that one in the paper,
Yeah.
because that's going to be
Wouldn't hurt.
very contentious.
Maybe.
Yeah,
All we're basically telling them is what the process that is unfolding.
right.
It's not really
Well,
gonna
and
be
it-
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like
there's
a
no
vote
debate.
to
There's no
to
debate
not
about
do
it.
it or anything, it's
Right.
just,
Right.
this
This
is
is
what's
what we are
happening.
doing.
Yeah,
Right,
Informational, really,
yeah.
that's all it is informational, yeah.
so.
So, yeah, I'd post it ASAP.
But are we gonna
We
have,
have to pick a date.
I didn't know you were an accountant.
Chief accountant for Penobscot Bay Medical Center.
Really?
Imagine that. Anyway, you're doing a great job. I, for one, have been there, and I appreciate your efforts. Lois, everybody, you've done a
Thank
good
you.
job.
Thank you.
Every one of you have a nice Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
thank you.
You as well.
I knew I had it. That's the copy of his appraisal. And if you're interested, it has his references in here as well.
Oh, that's good.
And
This
his
is the person that we're
qualifications.
hiring?
Yep.
And he is aware of the step, of the
He's
formula?
done it before.
Oh, good, very good. Great,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh, so he knew about the formula.
Yeah.
This
That's
could be the,
interesting.
well, the first of many for him to come, because we have, I mean, this is the first road that we gotta do.
Beautiful.
There's a bunch more.
And
Yeah,
he
I just don't think
actually
they're all gonna have to be done this way.
He was,
This one has to be done this way because of the previous
Right.
approach to it, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think we have other roads where the
There's
board
no-
will be able to simply act.
abandoned. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but maybe some we will wanna do this way.
Correct.
Good, very good. That's cool.
Tax acquired property, and then we'll go back to the personnel policy?
Yep.
Okay.
So I know we've talked about this one before. We actually have 2 remaining that are not paid. That one of them, he didn't pick up his notice. He's out of Massachusetts, didn't pick up his notice. So I've sent it again, and I've sent it regular mail. So if it comes back, and if the certified copy comes back, but the regular mail doesn't come back, then he got it. And then you're welcome to put it out to bid. This property, this is a deceased individual, and not only that, the deed was written such that he is the trustee of a trust, but the property and the tax liens were not written that he was a trustee of a trust, and that it should have been maybe. So the suggestion that I got from MMA this afternoon was to reissue the 45-day notice to the 4 children, which would be the heirs, and give them the opportunity to cure the 2015 lien versus asking them to pay for all 3 years of taxes to buy back the property. So that was the recommendation of that. I think that's,
So, was the town office essentially doing this incorrectly for the last 3 years?
The assessor did not apparently read the deed.
So the assessor was doing it incorrectly for the last.
Yeah, because
It wasn't getting billed to the trust?
correct,
Yeah.
or the
That's-
trustee.
That's,
Sloppy.
that is sloppy.
Yeah, so because of this then being in, and it says right here, James E. Rillinger Jr., trustee of the Rillinger Real Estate Trust.
And he's passed away.
And he passed away about a year ago.
And so
So-
where we've been sending them to him personally? Or, I mean,
We send them to his address that we have at, I think it's 115 Turner Road. 115 Turner Road. That's where we've been sending them. So. This one, we're gonna have, that's the recommendation, that we just reissue a notice of impending foreclosure for the 2015.
Under the circumstance, I think that's a very wise
yeah,
thing to do.
buying a 45-day delay to cover ourselves is probably,
Correct, that's what I, you know,
Yeah.
because it definitely was an error.
Yes.
It
repeated.
wasn't our personal, but it was our contractor, or however you want to verb it.
Right. And then even at this point, the account still doesn't even say it should be reading heirs of or devisees of, and it doesn't even say that. It still is his name, which again could be even incorrect because he's the
But this
trustee of the
property,
trust.
if the trust, is the trust at his death?
Yeah.
Does this dissolve, or is this an ongoing trust, or do we know how this is
The
gonna work?
trust, no, because he would have, when he passes, he will have named another trustee within his trust.
Or not, it could be a trust that distributes at his death.
Well, because it's listed in there, it tells me where to find the trust. But I can't print it off because it's in Plymouth County, Massachusetts, and I have to sign up for I have to sign up for access before they will give it to me, and it comes USPS, and so I have to wait for a username and password, and so I'm trying to get the trust information. I had sent to the 4 children. We found the obituary. We found the obituary, had listed the 4 children, and I Googled them. And
Found
I
them?
found addresses. I don't know if they were the right people or not. I mean, there's no guarantee.
Sure.
But one of them did respond and say, yes, this is me, this is my
You
dad.
should get them all after
And-
that, yeah.
I mean,
Yes, and
Good.
the other little glitch in there is one of them, the post office did forward the mail to one of the daughters. But again, they were not all notified, all 4 of them as heirs of.
Where is this property? I mean,
115 Turner Road. It's a cute
Okay.
little salt box. Valued at about 60,000, 36 acres. It's cute.
yeah, no,
No,
we will sell.
It will sell.
Yeah.
I believe it will
There's
sell.
no reason for us to be in
Right.
arrears on this property.
Right, and so they're either going to have to cure, and he said, when I talked to the son, he said they don't even know what they're doing, because they haven't found the trust yet, and I'm like,
Right,
why have
they
you not
don't.
even found the trust yet? You know, but they didn't know about this property. I don't know if they just don't know how to do research, or if they can't get themselves put together. I mean,
Yeah, he may not have had any reference.
I was,
to
I
it.
mean, really, it's guess none of our business, but if that address was our billing address, and that's where we've been sending that would tell me that somebody's been living there. So how would a son not know
that his father
that
was
his
living.
father had lived there?
I don't know if they lived there full time. I think they did, but I wasn't sure. The father and his new wife or woman or whoever she was, I'm not sure.
Well, either way, I mean, it's moving forward. Definitely an error, it's moving.
45 days, if
Yeah.
MMA saying 45 days regardless of who responds, we can act, then that seems
Sure.
reasonable.
And then as soon as I get the trust information, I have to talk to our assessor and say, fix this, because we have
Oh,
these
yeah.
liens that are leaned in
Well,
correctly.
it's costing us money.
That's
Yes.
right,
Yes,
that's right.
yes. So that's
Yeah.
where we stand on that one. But,
So, and the son contacted you?
yeah, I sent letters
Right, and
and he
responded.
responded.
So the remaining 3 letters to his sibling are correct addresses and everything?
I don't know.
Oh, you couldn't ask him?
Well, I told him I sent 2 of them to Attleboro, is that right?
Mass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and 1 in Plainville.
And,
And he said, yeah, that's where they are.
okay, all right.
But I did email him because he gave me his 2 email addresses and his cell number.
Oh, good.
So I emailed him to both email addresses, copies of the deed that I printed off. And because it's got the highlighted part where it shows where the trust is, and I told him where to find the trust,
Yeah, he
paperwork,
can just
book
go
and
get a
page
copy.
even.
Yeah.
I told him book and page even, because I did get that information.
Jeez.
So at this point, I would give them the 45 days
Right, yes.
and
What are the taxes annually on the property?
1,200.
Just for 2000,
No, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
total?
Yeah, for 2015.
1,200
It's
per
almost
year.
$4,000 right now. It's 3,900.
oh,
Yeah,
See, they don't get a homestead exemption,
right.
so they're paying on the full freight.
Yeah,
ah,
yeah.
Okay,
I see.
now, the personnel policy. You don't need a motion to do this 45
No.
days, I'm sorry. Yep.
Okay.
Alright, I'll be honest, I did not do my homework like I should. I was too busy. Work over the last couple of weeks has
Well, that's why I gave you the
been,
highlighted.
I know, it's been interesting.
And I think, like on page 2, those are just, I added in when requested and just some correction. of-
Yeah, I mean typo type
Typo,
stuff, that's
yeah.
when I went through your corrections, I had the same thing.
One of the things that struck me about our policy versus the one, I think you got us at least one example, and it was Garland, there just seems really stripped down and lean.
Thank you, I helped do that one.
Well, and that's kind of
That's
more the
not
direction I'd like us to go in,
Yes.
as opposed to a
Book.
wordy.
Yeah.
Now, someone might look at theirs and say, oh, that's totally insufficient, but
Right.
if it is sufficient, because there was even a thing that kind of contradicted the impression we had about flex time and overtime
Overtime.
that they were doing that we didn't think we could do.
Correct.
Right.
So I think this is a good start, but if we could do something more like that,
Well, do you want to start with that and adjust it then to how you want? I mean, there's no saying that you have to start with this. Any personnel policy you put into place, if you start from scratch, it just overwrites this one and this one is no longer valid.
so you actually helped write that one in?
Yes.
So you,
Yes.
did you send that to MMA and they signed off on it, or?
I don't remember if
I know
did or not.
they're reluctant to get involved
they
in
don't.
personnel policies.
They-
You would
Yeah,
almost
they-
have to send it to an attorney.
Yeah, that's what they
Right,
want,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, that's,
But to me, it needs to be, I mean, I've read this thing numerous times, this is more like a book.
It
This is
is.
like
Policy
Waterville,
needs to be,
mangled.
it needs
That's
to be
right.
bullet
That's
points, it needs to
exactly-
be,
Well, and some of
it's
this stuff is
instructional.
governed, like this harassment and unlawful
Yeah.
discrimination is governed by law.
right.
Yeah, we don't
right.
need to
You don't
repeat
need
that in our
to-
personnel. That was the thing, I know, they didn't have anything about, well, in fact, the, Family Leave Act.
Right.
We're not required to follow that because we have so few employees.
Correct, doesn't need to,
But if you read this, when I read it, I assumed that we were required.
correct.
Yeah.
I would like to strip it down to its absolute minimum and then build from there.
From there, based on what.
Are you required to give any vacation time? I bet the answer is no, you're not.
No, you're not.
So
No.
then build from there.
Right.
Right.
But when I read ours, I'm like, okay, did we have to do that or do
You
we?
don't know where that
Right.
line is at all.
Right.
Right, well, some of those questions I have highlighted in here, which I
Mm-hmm.
can just transfer to any policy you want me
Yep.
to start with. One of them,
One thing about this to me that I really, you've highlighted on both sides, but you didn't hit where I was thinking. When you go to page 3 and then to page 4, this, on page 3, it says, part-time employees work less than 30 hours per week.
correct,
But when I go to page 4, hours of work, as a general rule, the regular work week is 40
I
hours
got
per
that
week.
highlighted.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
either
yeah.
30 or it's 40.
Right.
Well, one's part-time and one's full-time.
No,
Yeah,
but
but
a
what's
regular
this-
work week is full-time.
So you can, right. And it says 5 8-hour days, and then it says 32 hours.
I know, that
Constitutes
I highlighted
regular.
all of that. It's like, what are we talking about here?
But the
What-
question that I've put in here is to qualify for benefits. You will, if you, it
Ah.
doesn't matter where you wanna put it, but you need to have somewhere how many hours qualifies for benefits.
Right, but again, what is the federal requirement?
I think it's 32.
Okay.
So,
We
That's where we
we
wanna
tried, but we tried to find that
But-
before, and it was very sketchy.
Well, actually, it's 32 if you have like 50 employees or more.
It's
That's
through a
right.
line. Correct.
When you fall
So
When
I
you're
don't-
under that, you can't get that number.
You don't have to have any benefits. There are towns that have 0 benefits. I'm
You
not
don't
suggesting
have to.
we do that.
Right.
But because you have so few employees,
right, we,
you have a lot more latitude than
Right.
this policy might have you believe.
right.
But to me, this whole number 12, hours of work, this is pointless.
Yep,
Because over here, I have full-time employment and I have part-time employment.
Yes.
So,
Yes, I
yep,
get it.
Yes.
I had that
There's a
all
lot of
highlighted.
redundancy in
Yep, yep,
correct.
right.
And it's the same, I don't need seasonal and temporary.
Yeah, I got
That's
the
all.
impression after I was going on and on, that there was a lot of cutting and pasting that had gone on, and it was
Yeah.
just getting more and more
You can see
cumbersome. Yeah, yeah,
these
This came from a large legal firm in Bangor,
yes, yeah,
okay? And that, I think, it explains.
doesn't apply.
Right, well,
Yeah.
you pay for every page.
That's right.
Now, on the other piece to this, we're kinda, now I'm gonna go saying just the opposite.
You're diving
just
in now.
Doc.
That you like.
Well, no, when we go to page 5, okay? This, and you look under number 18,
Yes.
okay? This isn't wordy enough. Because if you, the way this is written, okay, if Mike's a town employee and he's chewing gum and I don't like it, so you can give him an oral today. 6 months from now, he's chewing gum, so you give him a written. 6 months from that, you suspend him, and 6 months from that, or a year from that, doesn't matter, because you've already given him 3, now I'm gonna discharge him. So, by policy, over a 2-year span, I fired him for chewing gum, and that's fine. But that's not gonna work at the labor board,
Right.
Do we know that it won't?
I guarantee you.
I mean, based on your most recent experience, if your attorney looked at this, would she say, no, that's not adequate?
Usually this falls through a 3-month.
Oral,
timeframe.
written, suspension,
The
discharge?
whole thing,
Yeah.
Would you?
only,
Well, it would fall through like, so if you say, like if I've written you up and you go to like a 3-month span of nothing, one of them falls off.
oh,
You know
So
what
you
I
don't
mean?
get an
So-
oral reprimand and then 2 years later,
Correct.
not get another one?
That's right.
I
there's a,
would argue like you might want a year. I know when my mother was telling me, you know, disciplinary action, a year is usually what you get in like you say.
There's
not
no question
3 months,
that
but-
this is the thorniest area, because this is where
this
all
needs to
the
be right.
liability for the
Sure.
town, this needs to be right.
Yep.
That's the one section that you may go to Katie or someone like that and say, how should we do this?
Right.
Because that's where your liability is.
That needs to be,
ironclad, yeah, yeah.
well, it needs to be fair for the employee as well as us.
Well, no, it has to be crystal clear.
Right, right.
And the town,
Right.
and the
So you
town
just
doesn't
follow the
wanna
roadmap
make any
for it.
wrong steps.
Yeah,
It's too
Yeah.
expensive,
yeah. Yep,
okay?
yep.
So you're kinda getting a feel for what we're thinking.
Less is more.
Less is
That's
more.
right,
Except for that one.
except for,
Well, sometimes.
There's always an
precise
exception,
is-
and I think that's really,
All right, vacations. That was another one that we hit. That was a big topic. After 1 year, 5 days, 2 to 5 years, it's 10
which
days.
one page was you?
8.
I was getting there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
6 to 14 years is 15 days. After 15 is 20, and after 20 years is 25. I mean, I don't know what you were thinking.
Well, under your current employees, how many go beyond the 6 to 14 year category?
1.
Just one. And does that one go to the 20 year category?
Yes.
So you have one employee that qualifies for 25 working days off, and no one else qualifies for 15?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. Doreen,
Should be in the 10.
I think she's hitting 5 years this
Okay.
year.
It would seem, my initial thought is whatever changes we make to something like this would not affect
It-
anyone who's earned it.
Right, there's gotta be a grandfather.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's the right term.
Right,
Yep,
So,
don't disagree.
okay,
that, I would say you could carve in stone.
yeah.
So the question is, where do you wanna cut it? For a little municipality like ours, is 3 weeks vacation enough, and how many years you have to be here to get it? That's the variables.
Right,
How far are you
and-
gonna go and how long you gonna work to get
I
there?
did notice that Lois, you had made changes that extending for the 10 work days, for example, for the 2 to 5, you had changed it from 2 to
2 to 7.
7. So that's another way of,
Yeah, you
Right.
could just broaden your
Yeah.
category.
Spectrum, that's what I would do, rather than reduce your benefit,
right.
just broaden the spectrum of how
The
long you have to be
brackets are
here.
bigger.
Yeah.
The brackets are bigger.
See, I would go the other way. I would take the 25 right off the top.
Yeah, well, I.
Well, that's fine.
But I mean,
Well, yeah,
nobody,
you can do
five,
that, too.
5
Yeah,
weeks is, nobody gets 5 weeks anymore.
Right.
Everybody's grandfather, that's gone. I mean, they took ours away 10 years ago.
Oh,
Did
really?
they?
Oh yeah, 4-week gap. Period.
4-week cap.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I got my 4 weeks at 20 years and I'm 30 years and I still get 4 weeks.
Well, if you really think about it's a very expensive benefit.
Oh,
If you're gonna pay
yeah.
somebody for a month in this little town to not work,
Right, and then we have to get somebody in to
You maybe.
perhaps.
Well, the other thing
or-
too, and it's,
I didn't.
I know it's not really the same, but if you go to page 5 and start counting,
holidays.
you know, we go by the state calendar as far as holidays currently, so.
yeah, we have a very liberal calendar.
Yeah, you do. There's 13 holidays,
So
And
it's
what is the
13
bare
holidays and some of
minimum?
them are 2-day day and a halves, right?
2 day,
2-day,
Day after.
day after.
day after and day after. I'm actually
Whoa,
gonna take the
that's
day
right.
before Christmas next year. Cause it's a Monday.
So I mean, you've already got
13.
You got 13 days off with pay.
You have 2 weeks off built into the calendar. Everybody, first year,
That's right,
First day.
correct,
That's right.
Yes.
paid. Well, you gotta work for a year to get them, right, or do you not?
No.
Now you get those holidays.
Well,
Holidays,
okay.
holidays
But if you-
typically are instant. I don't know I didn't notice what we do.
It doesn't, 1 year of service are eligible to receive. Yeah, but, I mean, that first year that you're working, you get all these holidays as they come down as you fall
How's that?
onto the holidays,
The
right?
town has adopted the
Somewhere
schedule.
it had that in there.
Yeah, it says,
It does say 1 year of service
1 year of service.
to receive regular pay during those holiday hours. So if you're scheduled for a 6-hour day, you'd get paid your 6.
Right.
Or if it was an 8-hour day, you'd get your 8, but it's
But-
after 1 year.
But after 1 year, what about that first year?
You're SOL.
You don't get any of these holidays.
You get the day off, but it's not paid,
Oh.
the way that's verbiage.
Oh.
We don't have anybody that would fall under that right now.
Right.
For part-time.
Well,
Oh, that's
part-timers don't get
part-time?
these benefits.
Oh, no, it
No,
says
no, 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 no.
part-time
On page
employees.
4, it starts the heading, holidays, full-time employees. So that top paragraph is for full-time employees. Then 16 is part-time employees.
Aha.
Well,
So this here is full-time up here. So full-timers get it from day 1, part-timers have to be here for a year.
and that's a total option. We don't need to give part-timers holiday pay.
I would not.
No.
I mean, that's part of the part-time.
Garland's
That's right.
not doing that.
I don't believe anybody is on a part-time.
It's expensive.
Well, I don't know. Yes, I have 1 part-time.
No, but I'm just saying, I don't know of.
Right.
what
Garland
others-
does do part-time because they don't have any full-time.
Right, but are they're paying holiday pay for part-time? One
I'll
side
have
of
to
me
look at their
says they
policy.
may.
I think they
For
do,
sched-
if it's their day to
If
work.
it's their
and it's a
actual
holiday.
scheduled day.
Right, but
But see, the way a lot of towns get out of this, the majority of these holidays are on a Monday. They close the office on Monday, they're not open on Mondays, so nobody works it anyway, so they don't pay for it. That's how they get by it.
So you mean to tell me if Christmas fell on Wednesday, Somebody would get paid for that?
Well, we would, because we normally work it,
Oh,
even though the office isn't open.
okay.
In other towns, they're just not, they don't work it, they're not open. Like in Garland, they're not. Bradford on Friday, we didn't work it, we weren't open.
But if you're full-time, open or not, you don't get paid for that holiday?
Yeah, we do,
If you're full-time.
because I'm full-time,
Right. But not part-time.
but not part-time. Garland doesn't have full-times.
Not one.
But if it's not on a scheduled workday, you wouldn't get paid for it. Full-time or not.
It's always going to be on his,
Not if you're not open on Monday.
right? But if you weren't open on Monday, you would be a 40-hour.
We don't have 40 hours in the office, actually, we got 36.
No, we have 40. One's 40,
One's
one's
40,
36.
one's 36.
2 or 40?
I'm 40.
Isn't your public works employee 40?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
On the office.
Yeah, he said office.
Oh. So, what's the question?
So, yeah, so but going all the way back to part-time employees need to be paid for holidays is what we need to decide.
My personal opinion is no.
No,
I mean, if you wanna, because I could see us, we just hired a part-time person.
that's right.
Every time you decide to bring in maybe somebody for a specialty service that you're gonna hire, maybe you're only gonna pay them 10 or 15 hours a week, or a month.
Right,
Seasonal.
but at some point, say a few years in the future, we reconfigure.
Let's have that conversation in a few years.
Yeah, I was
You
thinking.
can add it back in.
Okay.
Yeah,
I knew right where you were going, that's why I want you to stop.
Okay.
just because just like we're changing this one, you
Yes.
can change any of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
For-
say
You
for-
should. Every
let's
couple of
say,
years, you should.
let's
redo
say you
it.
have a situation where everybody's part-time, then you might rework the whole thing.
Right.
I mean, crazy as that sounds, it could happen.
But for right now, for what we have for full-time employees,
Right.
what you have, your new part-time person, you're not gonna schedule him to work on a holiday.
Right.
So it's applicable.
Well, it depends. He will be
He's
working
my-
holidays.
Yeah, because if we get a snowstorm on Monday, he's working it.
Right, but you'd
But
pay.
you're
I'm paying it.
Paying
But
him,
that's
right.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But he
But I
doesn't
mean,
get holiday
He would
pay.
never,
Right.
he is not gonna have a scheduled work day on a holiday.
Right.
You're not gonna schedule him to work day after Christmas and.
Right,
For 8
unless
hours.
it's, right, and he gets paid for when he works.
Right.
So,
I'd say remove it.
yeah,
It's
right
it's not
now,
applicable. We
It's
can add
not
it all back
applicable.
in,
It's not,
that's right.
it's more verbiage.
it's not lean.
I like that.
So back to 26, page 8. We don't have anybody, with the exception of one, we have one person who's gonna be grandfathered. If we've all agreed to
Right.
that, if we make any changes, we grandfather anybody
Right.
affected.
Right,
And I don't see us making changes beyond what would affect one person.
right, right.
Because we don't have anyone who's qualified for 3 weeks yet,
Okay,
alright?
Yep.
So, if we capped it at 3, there are still people who could attain it. No one has attained it yet. Is that correct? Lois?
I'm sorry.
No one has attained 3 weeks, other than the one person has
Who's that?
reached 25 days. We don't have an employee that,
I'm trying to run through my head that I just have the one that's on the cusp, but I think it's 5 years.
okay,
So correct.
I think January.
It goes on anniversary.
higher date?
Anniversary, yeah.
because for example, if you wanted to take category, the 10 day, or the 2 week category, and you wanted to go from 2 to 7, I wouldn't wanna take a person who was gonna qualify
for the 3 weeks.
for the 3 week and bump them out 2 years this.
Sure.
That wouldn't be, I don't think that would be fair.
No, it wouldn't be fair. No.
So we would get grandfather their status as well, in terms of
Okay,
the clock,
I got you.
okay?
Yep,
Now, however, if you had a person, if we wanted to move it to 7, and that person was only 3 years in, then I'd say that's fair.
right,
I mean, it's a fair way to look at it.
right,
That's, so,
yep,
you just don't want, it's just, it seems,
yeah, no, it's
if
fine.
you got there and now they change the rules,
Yeah,
Right.
that doesn't seem fair.
yeah. Keep
Um,
moving the finish line.
Yeah, I have one that's 5. I think she just hit 5 this year.
And I think she's on
yeah.
that bubble to go to the 3-week next year.
Yeah, so you can't.
And I honestly, I don't even have a problem with the schedules. I mean, if the 1 year, fine, the 2 to 5 is fine, the 6 to 15 is fine, I just would like to stop right there. That's enough.
So 3 weeks, you're saying?
So
3
go
weeks.
6 to 15 years, 3 weeks.
3 weeks, in addition to all those holidays. That's really 5 weeks.
That's a lot of time off.
That's a lot of time off for a little municipality like this. All paid.
So actually, after 6 years,
Correct.
period. Not 6 to
There
15.
you go, there you go.
That's correct.
There you go, that's
That's
perfect.
correct.
That's a lot of time off in a short amount of time, but.
Do you
But
wanna
it's an
say
enhancement for the
after
town.
Do you want
Is
to say
that-
after 7?
Yeah, if you want to
Except the
boost
one
it.
that-
But you've only got one, and she may be on the, or he or she
Yeah, but
may be on the
she's
bubble.
grandfathered
You
anyway.
can grandfather, right?
Right,
Right.
right. I don't have a problem with that.
Right, so I think
I'm
that's.
trying to think honestly I'm thinking I think you get a week off after the first year, I think you go to 2 weeks. On 5.
Getting
I
2
think
weeks after 2 years is pretty generous.
Yeah, I think it's 2 weeks you hit after the 5th year at our work, and I think you hit 3 weeks after 10. And you get 4 weeks after 20.
Wow.
Yeah, you
Is
should
what I
give,
believe.
I would do the 4 after 20, because this is municipal. You're not gonna have a lot of people hit the 20 anyway.
No, but that's what I'm saying, is I think you have to get to that 20-year mark to find that 4
So
weeks.
say that again, so yours, just as a suggestion.
I think it's, 5 days is 1, 5 years is 2,
Oh, okay,
and then 10 years is 3
and so yours is after
after
1 year, so, yeah,
1, 5, 10, and 20.
There you go.
Is what we have.
Are you guys getting as many of holidays?
Oh, half.
No, so I
what I'm
really,
saying.
I really like stopping at 3 weeks with all of our holidays. Cause at 3 weeks, whether we do it, that's 5 weeks
right,
for the town.
that's right.
I don't necessarily disagree, but I don't agree with, well,
The
it's kind of the
bracket.
same thing, I guess. Cause this is at 15 weeks for 3 weeks, which is actually out there. So you could basically you could just leave that alone if you wanted to. Well, no, that's saying after 6 years, sorry, I am reading that backwards. I hate that this is doing that.
Yeah, well, there's no 15, cause it's just, once you've hit it.
6 years, that's it.
Whether
That's
it's
it.
6 or 7 or whatever we make it.
Right, right.
I think hitting 3 weeks at 6 years
Steep,
it is with 13 days
It's
off.
generous.
I mean, you get 5 weeks off with pay after working here 6 weeks.
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
Just straighten them out. It's been a long week.
It's only Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, let's start at the beginning. 1 year, do you have to work a year to get it, or do you get a vacation?
you have to work after 1 year, so you
Okay,
have to
so
work
these
the
will all
full
be
year.
after a year.
Correct, you
So,
get 5 working days,
when do you go to 2 weeks?
after 5 years.
Oh, that's steep. I'd go
That's,
3.
no, go ahead.
3.
3?
I'm
Remember,
saying you're gonna get.
you already have 2.
You already got 2.
With your holidays, you're getting paid 2 weeks.
Yeah, but those are spread out. They are spread out. If you wanted to plan a vacation and go for 2 weeks to Florida or wherever you want to go,
I just turned in 130 hours of vacation time.
I'd take mine.
Seriously, I just did.
You turned it in and for free? For what?
In
They
there.
buy it out.
They pay it out.
Ah,
We're not allowed to roll.
My father worked at Dixie Shoe his whole life. He was management. He had a salary. He had a hefty salary. They paid him very well. But he worked very hard. All management was capped at 2 weeks. He worked for them for 35 years. He never got more than 2 weeks, and they got to pick the 2 weeks. It was always when factory shut down in July. That's what he did his
Was
whole
it-
life.
Hardwood
Yeah.
still does that.
Yeah.
They shut down July, 1 week guaranteed.
Everybody
They're
gets
taking-
off.
Now, if you were a
GE
piece
does it
worker,
in Bangor.
you could get up to 4 weeks. They went as high as 4 weeks off. But
interesting. Wow. So.
So the question, 3 weeks, 3 years? 4
Yeah.
years?
Yeah, 3 years.
Because that's the other thing too, when I look at this, the reason why I keep going back to this, is I can take the week off in Thanksgiving with 3 days. I can take a week off on Christmas with 3 days.
No, if you wanna be crafty about it,
But I'm just saying,
yeah.
I mean, I just got 2 weeks off and I only use 6 days. So I understand what you're saying, their schedule is spread out, which gives them a larger advantage. Their 3 weeks that you're gonna give them can turn into a lot of time off in a hurry. So,
I just keep going back to how much it costs the town. You're going to pay a person who's worked for 3 years, you're gonna pay them 5 weeks salary and benefits to not work. It's really expensive.
Yeah.
yes.
Can we entertain the thought of letting it roll for a maximum number of hours? And that way, if somebody didn't wanna use their 1 or 2 weeks, 1 year, say they're at the 1 week level, and they want 2 weeks, then let it roll for the next year, so that they can have a 2 week, if they wanted a 2 week. The way it's written now is they can't carry anything.
Can't roll it, or you can't roll it. You gotta use it.
Well, if we go for 3 years, if you only have to wait 3 years to get your 2 weeks,
Then no rolling.
yeah, I mean, that seems like, yeah, okay, you gotta
You
put
get
in
one or the
36
other.
months before you get a full 2 weeks in addition to the 2 weeks that you're already getting. And that's not too onerous. But, and I think rolling and buying back and all
Yeah,
that.
I don't
gets-
like that.
It's,
I don't like that.
I mean, currently, you're not
Most towns
allowed.
let you carry up to like, I mean, you can put a cap on it. 240 is a pretty high number of hours.
Yeah, I don't think
but
Parkman's
I-
carrying anything, do you?
No.
Most towns, every town I've worked in, they carry it. They let it be carried.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily cost you more.
No, you gotta
That's
pay the
true.
money anyway.
Right, you're agreeing, so, you know,
But what
But
happens?
you're putting your town
correct.
into a budget restraint, because you're forcing a budget.
Yep,
right.
Yep, and you're also
You don't have
leaving
control over
yourself
it. That's right, you're
open space.
vulnerable.
Yep,
Now, what happens if you get a raise, and you've rolled those hours? Those hours are at different pay scale.
It
Yes.
should be.
Yes.
So then you gotta keep track of that. Oh no, that week was
That's
from when
the
you
other.
were paid X dollars. How does that work?
You can set it right up in Trio.
But my question
And
is,
pay-
how do you do
payroll
a
program.
budget? If you're gonna roll
you
it
don't
over,
know.
you're gonna budget for 52 weeks a year, this is a salary.
That's right.
Oops, you didn't take your vacation, but you worked it, so I paid you.
and we had budgeted it for this year,
I
but we didn't
budgeted
use
it.
it.
You didn't use it, so do I have to budget 54 weeks next year, because you made that 2 weeks that you can roll over? Cause you,
Right, cause then it's an
No, 'cause you-
additional 2 weeks.
You're still gonna only take 52 weeks of pay. You're not
But I'm gonna
taking
have-
54 weeks of pay.
if I take one of the girls out of the office for 4 weeks, and you
We
have
did
to,
it.
and you
And
have to
you've
bring a
gotta
part-time
pay.
person in, it's gonna cost you more money.
Yeah, but we didn't have to.
This
We're, one person can run that office for a week or however, honestly. I mean, they do it. We've done it.
Why aren't we open Wednesday? I'm being very honest.
With
If
three
one
people?
one person can run that office, then that.
Well,
office
I'm
is
on
open.
day to day. I'm talking day to day. I'm not talking all the reports and all of the. But if you want the counter covered, one person can cover the counter.
All right,
I mean, we gotta realize the other thing of this is, we're here representing the best interest for our town.
right.
And there is these type of numbers and these type of days off, there's nobody else around here that's getting this. So
No, I think your average resident is not seeing anything like this in their
No.
own plan. So I don't think, if we did 1, 3, and 9, with the current holiday schedule, by local standards, Piscataquis County, Sangerville, Maine, this is a pretty nice package. Particularly along with the insurance and everything else that we do.
but we're not affecting anybody.
Yeah, and we're actually not gonna impact anybody.
Right, that's right.
Because I don't think, if the one person that we have right now is at the 5-year mark, are they probably gonna be here in 10 years?
We don't know.
We don't know, but I'm just,
If she's at the 5-year mark, she would qualify for the 15 next year, and we've already agreed to grandfather a person who's
Sure.
on the bubble.
Right,
So
right.
But we're not gonna, what I'm saying is, I don't believe that person would see the 20 regardless.
Probably not,
So,
but 1, 3, and 9,
sure.
Yep, yep,
So after 3 years,
2 weeks.
and after 9 years,
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
the one below it, again, this goes back, I'm looking at, there's a whole bunch of items, or a number of items in here that I don't think need to be in here.
Family, medical leave, all
Yeah,
that stuff.
I don't think
It's
we're
just
required with the
all-
number of employees that we have, I just. But if we are, we are, I wanna know what we actually have to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's page after page after page about this family.
And it's like, Obamacare, we're not required to do that. We
Right.
have benefits, but we're not required to. It's good to know what you have to do versus what you want to do.
So back to the vacation, no rolling or,
I would say, it seems to me, it's, from an accounting standpoint, from a budgetary standpoint, is it easier to just, you earn it, you take
You
it?
take it.
No, if you've earned a vacation and you quit, I think you get paid for your vacation, do you not?
If you accrue
Yes,
it.
yes,
If
If
it's
you
approved,
accrue it.
that's in here.
Right, right,
Right.
so that makes sense.
yeah, that is in there.
But I'm open, if you can, we don't have very many employees,
Right, right.
so.
Well, and my thought on being able to carry is because you don't offer personal days. Now, if I'm going on vacation, I plan a week vacation. I've got 2 weeks planned. I'm taking 2 weeks of vacation. How do I get any other time off if I wanna, go wherever for, a day, a half a day, I wanna schedule a half a day? What do? Take sick time? I'm not having a doctor's appointment, I'm not sick. So how am I gonna take that?
You got
that
2 weeks of
half a day?
holidays that you can,
I've already taken them, I've already booked them and taken them.
But
So how
you can
do-
always take a personal day with no pay, correct?
Sure.
sure,
Take a day off, they don't pay anything.
Sure.
well, there you go. I'll tell you what, my dad had 2 weeks for 35 years.
I know that.
I wouldn't have
that's-
done it.
That's, well, but it was a good job and he was
Well, he was free to
compensated.
quit anytime he wanted to,
Yeah.
I mean,
He probably enjoyed the work.
not that much.
No?
He enjoyed the pay.
That's
Yeah,
the other.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, I believe, I really do, I really believe this is a very competitive package. I don't think Rite Aid
You're
or
up to
Hannaford is
You're up
coming
to
close to
5
us.
weeks after 9 years of paid time off.
I don't think Hannaford's close to us.
Alright, so if I work a holiday, I can take that holiday pay another time?
I don't think you can legally, cause you get paid time and a half while you're working it, right?
Oh, do ya?
You do?
I don't. I don't.
Oh,
Salaried
that's right.
employees are totally
Salary
different.
don't, so.
That's how you get 2 weeks a year capped. We haven't even discussed salaried employees yet.
All right, let's move on.
Let's
'cause
not
I'm
even
getting
go
tired.
there. No, but the other, personal time is an issue too.
No, but I think it's perfectly, anytime you want, as long as you've got
You wanna know
coverage,
how
if someone
much-
comes
you
and
wanna
says,
know
I
how
want the
much I
day
get?
off.
Right, you can
You
take a
want a day
day
off?
off.
Sick days, would you like to know how many sick days a year I get? You sitting down? How many do we give? That was that's what I
12.
was looking for. I give 1.
One sick day?
Yep.
Yeah, you get one a month here. And that is a lot. I'd give up some sick time to have personal
Well,
time.
we haven't addressed that yet. I think it's very much.
This is another almost 12 days, come on.
That's right,
Somewhere,
that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Holy,
No, you
That-
start adding it up, it's like,
It's, it
2
is
months.
a lot of time.
Yeah.
you can't, basically you hire an employee and after a few years, you got them for 10 months a year.
Yeah, that's right, that's exactly what it boils down to.
But I don't take sick time. Typically, I don't think I've been sick.
see, and honestly, that's my pet peeve about 12 days.
Right.
If anybody, I don't believe we will ever have you would really have to have something seriously happen to you before you're gonna hit 12 days.
Right.
That's not 1 day a month.
Right. But I'd give up sick time to have 2 personal days.
Well,
I give up 6 sick days. At least.
To me, I see a sick day as a personal day is basically the same day. It's the same deal.
I think a lot of people
I mean,
treat it.
you verbiage it different, I know it's, and
But
it's,
yeah,
it's
I
a
hear
mental
you.
thing, I'm
It's
not
a mental
sick.
thing, exactly.
Sure.
I'm not gonna call in sick if I'm
No.
not sick. If I'm gonna go out and go shopping with my daughter,
right.
That's
I'm,
different.
No,
that's
and
a personal time.
I
and-
appreciate that because I'm a rule follower.
Well, actually, that's what we get. We
You
get
know.
one personal day, period.
Hey,
You call it a personal.
hey.
Do whatever you want.
You do
That's
whatever you
right.
want. You call in sick, you take it.
Right.
It's
So,
the only way you can take
know,
a day
it may
off from
be-
work and not get written down.
It may be that we need to just
But can you call in and say, I'd like a day off without pay?
Well, that's,
Will they do that for you?
No,
You can't take a day off without pay. You can't?
no.
If you're
No, no.
expected to work.
Not without signing a little piece of paper that says you just had an attendance. That's an occurrence, because that was your scheduled day of work.
So too many of those and you get a black eye.
You're back to this other verbiage of 30 days written oral, see ya.
See, and we're not doing anything like that. And
How-
nor am I suggesting we
No.
should.
Out of work.
no,
from here.
but did you look at Bradford's policy where they lump everything together and call it paid time off?
That's great.
So you want your vacation time, your sick time, your holidays, your personal time, it is all in that. So it's called just paid time off. So when you wanna take 5 days vacation, you take it out of that. Your holidays get paid out of that. Your personal time versus sick time gets paid out of that. I mean, in that way, I had 3 sick days, 2 personal days, and.
So what if you took the 12 days sick, you cut it in half and make them personal time?
Yeah.
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 No sick
sick
time,
time.
they're just
Right.
personal days, you got
Yep.
6 of them.
Yep. Yep. I like that. I think that's great.
That's another
Where do
week
we
just- that's
everybody
right.
gets.
Sure, but that's
I
exactly
mean, you
what
could
it
even
is.
say 5. 5 is enough.
Fine.
Five's
Perfect.
plenty.
I'm with that,
Right.
we just
Good.
cut
Cut it by
7.
7
Just,
Per employee.
per employee.
oh yeah.
Okay, so did we write that down?
I don't know where it is in this.
I was looking for it, I couldn't find it.
Oh, it's here.
I know it's here, but I
Sick
was-
goes to personal,
Sick
Yep. Sick goes to personal
becomes
and it's
5.
5.
becomes personal.
See, it's a pain in the butt, and I know other places, the way they do it is you have to proratedly earn it since you last, so like
Sick leave, here we go.
if
Yeah.
you, no, what's these like that?
Well, so that's another
If you go
question.
3 months without any occurrences, so if you come to work every day for 3 months, then that would accrue you 1 personal day or whatever. So if you missed a day, say within that 3-month time frame, you missed a day, well, number 1, it would be an occurrence, it would be could be a verbal or whatever, but that's where your clock restarted. So now you you just lost that. So you missed a day, now you start over. I gotta go 3 months before I
Oh
can
my
earn my.
gosh, no
personal
wonder
day.
why they have HR departments that have to
But-
track all
But
this.
that's how employees get out of doing this, instead of, basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you a free week off. Take it
Oh,
whenever you
I
want.
see,
Another
I
one.
see what you're saying.
The way
I
a lot of
understand, I
people are
understand.
doing it is now, yes,
The way
I
they're-
will give you them amount of days, but you
But-
have to earn it.
Right.
Yeah,
You have to show up for work and do what you gotta
right,
do,
right,
and
right.
you will,
I see.
And that's how the paid time off worked in Bradford. You earned like 2.3 hours per
Per
week.
Yeah,
Or 1.8 hours
so if you earned
per
a half a
week.
day a month, you'd get 6 days a year.
correct.
Uh-huh.
We could do 1.5 days, 1.25 days a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That gives you your 5 days a year.
So does Trio Track, it have the capability to do all those sorts of
Yeah,
permutations?
well, that's, yes.
Yes?
But how do you, that's what my next question was how do you want to track the 5 days?
I mean, right now, I
Well,
mean,
let's- do
1.5,
that.
1.25 per quarter.
You bet.
You
To
earn
5
them,
days per quarter.
yep,
Yep,
easy peasy.
yep. That's good.
And they're personal days, they're not
That's
sick
right.
days.
Not sick
So
day.
you don't have to be shy about taking them. You earned
That's
them,
right, that's
take them
right.
whenever you want them.
Yep.
All
I mean,
right,
they gotta
so-
clear it with you.
That was gonna roll? Because I think in here your sick time rolls and accrues.
No.
I don't like rolling. I just, my problem with rolling, honestly, it's nothing to do, my problem is unless you're gonna put a good cap on this, but when people get done, I mean, I know people that get done
Can a
up
year
on the
ahead.
hill, they're getting drawn a paycheck for another year.
But, I'm gonna argue this one, for 8 hours to roll. Because, say December 31st, everything's going good, go to a New Year's Eve party and I'm sick the next day.
It
Okay?
could happen.
It could happen. Not likely, but it could. I just lost all of my accrued time because it was the end of the year and now I'm in a new quarter. And so I have not accrued anything for that first day. So
Well,
if you can accrue.
If we're
if you
accruing
can roll-
quarterly, you're getting a day and a quarter, you're getting a day and a quarter every quarter, so at the end of December, you would have picked up that for your January 2nd.
No, because you lose it.
No, you lose it if you,
You
lose it.
December, January.
Oh, no,
December
you gotta give them a forward rolling.
Yeah,
6 months.
yeah,
or
I would say.
Even 12 months,
Yeah.
rolling.
Yeah.
You earned
I
it, you have to use it within 6 months.
Yeah, I
or 12 months,
understand.
I don't care.
Yeah, oh God, it gets so complicated.
That's
It
gonna
does,
be
and that's what I'm trying to-
complicated.
I would roll, I honestly, as much as I'm against rolling, I'd roll 8.
Let roll 8 from. So,
8 days or 8
No, no, no,
months?
8 hours.
8 hours, okay.
8 hours.
Yeah, that makes
So,
sense.
you know, your personal time starts January 1st until December 31st, but you can roll 8 hours for that first quarter in case you get sick the
Of
first
course,
quarter.
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, you gotta have a way to
With a
get it.
hangover.
Well, it's personal
Well-
time, not hangover time.
Oh, well.
I don't even drink. So.
That's why I was
It's a great example though.
You may start drinking. Provided, we're providing for that caveat.
Because I mean, really, like you said though, that amount of days for sick leave, we never should have been using them anyway.
No, I don't know how many days, you know, since I haven't taken any. I took a half a day. It took 4 hours, I think, for doctor's appointment.
Right. Yeah, okay, all right. How are we doing for time?
It's almost 7.
I think,
Honestly, how are we doing this? Like, are we amending this,
Well, I will.
making it official for tomorrow, or are we
No,
amending this?
no.
That's why I wanna make sure. so
I think
everybody-
we want her
No.
to continue boiling this sap down. We're gonna end up with a much cleaner, but
Yes.
these elements that we're working on, I
Right.
think it's good progress.
Right.
Cause these are gonna be built into that final lean
Leaner, right.
document. So, that's really
That's right.
what we would be looking for from you is a cleaner, leaner document that
Right,
implements,
Sure.
represents
Yeah.
these changes. And then we wanna tweak it again,
Yeah.
and again, we
Yeah.
can, when we,
But that's what I'm
we'll
saying
get to a
though,
point.
like, we're tweaking, does that mean this is gonna go active now, or we're
No,
gonna
It's
tweak
work in
it?
progress.
That's what I wanted, that's, just
Yep.
wanna make sure we're
That's
all-
only way, otherwise we're gonna make it, we tweaked this today, that's carved in stone. We
Oh,
changed
I
one
mean-
thing because we had to for enrollment.
right, that's right. That was done.
Yeah, I think as soon as we have what we feel is a finished product, then we would look at a motion.
But I would honestly, I would like to see us get it to what we feel is a finished motion, then send it on.
Yeah,
get a
for
rubber
review.
stamp.
Well, I'm gonna send her the question. She's got the policy, but I'll ask her this harassment and unlawful, the whistleblower, the family leave. Do we
Doesn't
have to
have to
include
be.
that?
Right.
I mean, isn't that
I think
governed by
It
government?
is, and I think what you could actually do is you could show a verbiage that you could actually say this,
We,
non-applicable, or it doesn't apply in our situation. So you may want,
Right.
you may,
Right.
You may
It
want to
adds some
see it,
clarity.
but-
Family Leave Act, below 50 employees does not apply.
right, right.
But you also don't need 2 pages of things that don't apply.
correct,
So,
that's the other piece,
Garland,
correct.
Think Garland,
think Garland.
yeah. Good.
So we're all kind of in agreement that when we have a finished product, then we'll
Enact
make
it.
a change. We'll end up signing it,
Right.
it'll be a motion.
Right, and it will be in
Yep.
place. Yep.
I think we've advanced the ball.
Good, that's good. That's very good.
Correspondence.
Oh, no, 8D, it's not on yours.
Oh, no, it's not
It's-
on mine. If it's not
no.
on mine, we don't do it. 8D.
Trade with me.
Okay,
Herrick's invoice.
okay.
The
Okay.
remainder of that invoice. So we paid him the portions that we were satisfied with. I got a phone call from him on Sunday, and he was questioning why we hadn't paid him in full. And I said, there was a letter with the check. And so anyway, he's not happy that we want to hold back the $1,000 that we had to spend And his opinion, it was my mistake, my misunderstanding, but his misunderstanding too. He admitted it was partly his, he didn't understand what I was asking him to do.
But the let me just really quick, the $1,000 you're talking about was to repair the road where he made it impassable.
Yes.
Mistaking or not, how do you ever mistake the thought that I'm gonna work on a road and it's okay to leave it impassable?
Well, he admitted that he didn't understand what I was asking him to do. And I said, well, then why didn't you call me back? He says, because you didn't tell me. You didn't. I said, I told you specifically, push back 10 to 12 feet of that gravel, make sure the pavement underneath is broken up, make sure it's shaped, put the gravel back, make sure. And he's like, he didn't understand that he admits that he doesn't think that's what I said. And I said, no, I didn't tell you to break up the next 10 feet. I said, push the gravel back. I said, I know for a fact that's what I told you. And I had mentioned that maybe had he talked to Mike about it, and he says, no, he never talked to Mike about pushing that gravel back.
And my recollection is clear that we had a very extensive conversation, so I don't see any point in arguing this $1,100 with him. He doesn't remember it.
Right.
And you also suggested to him that if he had questions with regard to this process, to call Pike. He admits that he didn't do that, or at least he doesn't remember doing it, so I think there's no point, like I said, you're either gonna pay him or not pay him for it, but he's not gonna agree to it, it doesn't look like.
Right,
So-
right, right.
So where are we at? I mean, the rest of the piece of it,
So I talked to Phil, I've talked to Pike, I even called a contractor out of the area that knew nothing about anything that was going on, and said, this is my situation, this is what's been done to this 800 feet. What do I need to do to this to prepare it for paving? And he said, the contractor said, if you have up 10 to 20 feet from where the pavement, he says, if you remove that pavement that's in there, which we've done now, and put gravel in there, he said, don't worry about the rest of it, it's gonna be fine. Chet from Pike, we know, he said to add a couple of inches and grade it, which we would have to have done something to that anyway. When I talked to Jeff from Pike, he's the one that I worked with all summer, he said basically the same thing, it's fine. Just want to make sure we have good solid butt joint, but he's going to, or whoever we get to pave it, we want to make sure that they go onto the fresh pavement that's not broken up 8 feet or
Just
so,
grind it.
and
Grind
do
it.
grinding.
Sure.
So that butt joint is not
Oh,
close.
Yep.
You're gonna have 6 or 8 feet
sure.
where
So
it will overlay.
The piece that we spent $1,100 on essentially will become our butt ends. We'll add enough gravel to extend over those, and these guys are saying that should be adequate. That's kind of,
I see.
Right.
So we still haven't but there's still a question about what we owe for French's Mills, for that little piece. We never,
he didn't remember it.
Well, I told him he needed to send us an invoice for that.
Yeah, but he didn't remember doing it.
Yeah, he didn't remember doing it.
So it's
When I
kind of
saw- when
ironic,
I
the
said-
11 that we took from him, he's probably gonna get back
Right,
by us
By reminding
reminding
him.
him that he didn't bill us, so.
right.
my suggestion would be, and as willing as he is willing to sign, I would pay him the balance that you have on there. Under the condition that's,
We're good.
We're good.
We're paid in full.
I don't want another bill. Don't pay this bill that you have for Silver's Mills with the $1,100, and then have him come back and say, you owe
I
me
wouldn't do it that way.
$1,100 for
I
You
would
would
pay
do
him
it-
for
pay
what he
him for
did,
his work.
the repair
Yeah,
is a
and this is
legitimate
disputed.
repair.
That's what I meant
He's
to
gonna
say,
have
yeah.
netted the same amount of money, or roughly.
Right.
I mean, he
Right.
did what appears to be good ditching work up there at Spalding's.
But you don't have a bill for that, do you?
No, he forgot
He's
to bill
going
us.
to provide
In
that.
fact, even when she brought it up to his attention, it sounded like,
Yeah, I
He still
said-
didn't really remember it.
Well, and it was in the letter that he hadn't billed us
Right.
for it, and I said, you didn't bill us for that on French's Mills, on the hill. He says, you mean by the Popple log? I'm like, no, on the hill, by Spalding, where you made the berm.
I mean, I'm assuming that's gotta be $1,100, right?
that's what I'm saying.
It's either
Yeah.
12.
And he still didn't remember doing it, so ultimately, that bill's out there, and I'm not saying we shouldn't pay him, we need an invoice.
Right.
But this is a legitimate
Yes.
adjustment, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it should
that
stand on
is-
its own.
right.
If he wants to take us to court for it, he can. But, and we want to pay him for the work on the Spalding, we
Right.
just need an invoice.
Right, right,
And they're separate.
yep.
I'm going to issue that check for that because I want it out of this year's budget.
Yeah, and I think that's what.
Well, and
And then
actually,
when
I would
get
be
the
getting,
invoice,
I
I'll just
would,
give it to him.
I would just assume seem to hurry up and get that other invoice. in.
Yeah, I would say the same,
I want
yeah.
under this year's budget.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that, yeah.
No, but I
that's-
mean.
No, the
other-
Spalding piece.
The Spalding.
No, that's what I'm saying,
That's-
I'll issue 2 separate checks.
Well, you
one
don't
for
have
the
a
I
bill
don't
Spalding.
have a bill.
Well, I know what it is, it's in the contract.
Oh, okay.
I would not issue him that.
Just
Give
wait
you a
until
bill.
he needs to give you a bill.
You don't have a bill, you can't issue him money,
I have a contract.
but you don't have a bill.
Yeah, but he hasn't billed us.
Okay.
Oh.
So the 22,400 minus the 1,047 and change,
Whatever, yeah,
I
that
think it's
bill was.
50, I think it was 50. Pay him that,
Yeah,
and then,
and I mean, the other amount for the French's Mills, you're all set to pay it as long as he gives you a bill on it.
right, I'll send him a reminder. Do you want me to mail this check as soon as I get it done this week?
Whatever works,
Well,
I mean,
Okay.
If you're comfortable, send it.
Yeah,
if you wanna send it, if you wanna call him up and say, hey, this is what we've done,
Yeah, bring me an
Well, he knows-
invoice, I'll give you 2 checks.
that's what
Right.
well, that's what I'm saying, with a
Right.
phone call,
right.
you might
come-
say,
come
hey, here's
swing
my
by, pick
other-
it up.
And if
here's
he,
your bill, here's your 2 checks.
if he starts to get upset about the adjustment, remind him, you know, you're really gonna be square here, cause I've tried 3 times to pay
To
you for
pay
something
you.
that you forgot about.
Right,
Right.
right.
So,
And, you know, we're acting honorably, we're
Right.
reminding him that he didn't bill us and,
Right.
and.
Right.
if we weren't acting good faith, we would just have swept that Spalding job under the
Right,
snowbank.
If I didn't have to pay for another contractor to clean that up so you could drive through there, then you wouldn't have to take
That's
that.
Well,
Right,
his
that's right.
contention too was, he didn't really argue so much about the removing of the pavement, putting the gravel in, it was the test holes that we had dug to. I think that's all on this, $1,000.
I think we've been fair.
yep,
And so, hopefully we can get that squared off in this year's budget.
If we didn't pay for the test holes, we wouldn't know if we were gonna pay him for any of it.
That's-
So-
That's right.
We spent a
that's
little bit of
that's a
money
good point,
and he got
Yeah.
paid.
yep.
That's
I
So-
Because I can
clearly,
tell you the
Remind
way
him
the
that.
conversations before was,
Right.
it was really questionable if he was
It's
gonna
gonna
get
be
paid.
paid,
Yeah.
that's right,
Yeah,
So,
that's right. Oh, and I also talked to Phil Curtis, and he said the same thing, make sure your butt joint's good, make sure, yeah,
so,
so everybody concurred,
everybody seems like it should be adequate.
yeah.
Okay, that was D.
That was D, yes,
Any correspondence?
no,
Any requests for additional agenda items?
no.
You guys, cool?
no, yeah,
should we move that?
Move what?
If we moved that up there, then we would have just added D on there. Well, actually, D was on the original, we just didn't have that, right?
Right.
Well, I remembered it just before we started, but,
So it really wasn't an ad, you actually.
yeah,
Now, do I need a motion for this?
yes,
I'll make a motion to go into executive session, for Maine revised statute
annotated.
annotated 4056A.
Second.
All in favor?